ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Capes and Commentaries podcast, the podcast that provides a commentary for some of our favorite episodes, some of our favorite cartoons, and sometimes we give you a little more, but today it'll probably be condensed. We're going to make this one short and sweet and to the point. We hope you guys enjoyed the new look that we kind of got going on here. As we stated before, Hangouts Live on Air sort of ended its whatever they were doing with YouTube that ended on August 1st. So we had to find another means to do it, and here we are. Tyler, how's it going?
I'm ready, willing, and able, dude. I'm ready to dig back into some turtle power action, some pizza power. I mean, just turtles in general. It's good. It's because we've been on the hiatus for almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, close to, because I started vacation and didn't do shit that first week, and then last half of last week I was out of town. And I guess we could have done something Saturday or Sunday, but
I'm kind of glad we didn't, because I had like a tight schedule on Sunday too, and I could have done it, but I also felt like, you know what, it was nice just to come home, relax, knock out stuff I need to get done for the week. Go see that disappointing movie.
Do we need to talk about that on here? Just briefly, you went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I went and saw it as well, but I liked it. You didn't like it.
No, didn't like it at all.
Which makes sense if you are not much of a fan of Tarantino's work. Tyler is not much of a fan of Tarantino's work. Then this isn't the movie for you.
It's just, God, he just comes off as such a hack. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why just a mess of scenes thrown together is such compelling filmmaking. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people think it's such an honor to be in one of his films, or why his films are so groundbreaking and interesting. And I just, it's like reading a book about the English theater. It just puts me to sleep and just bores me. I just don't get why his films are so beloved and have been, for over 20 years now.
For me, I think a lot of it rests within the dialogue. I like the songs that he chooses for his soundtracks. I think those typically fit in pretty well. And for this, I guess it was just, obviously not everyone's cup of tea, and honestly, for me, not his strongest of his work. I always still hold Kill Bill up there as like the top tier Tarantino, and then it just kind of goes down from there. I know you didn't see Django, right? There was something about the horse scene at the end, or him riding the horse, or doing a trick with it.
I heard about that, which I wasn't. It looked somewhat interesting, and Don Johnson was in it, which I was like, well.
I think if you still have not watched that, I think that might be more of what you're looking for when it comes to Tarantino. So maybe give that one a watch. I know a lot of people didn't like Hateful Eight that much. I enjoyed it because to me it was like...
My brother liked it too, and my brother's been a fan of Tarantino. I wouldn't say he's like turns up for every Tarantino film, but he tends to check them out when they yeah.
Right. So to me, it's just each one has its own thing to offer for it, and like this one didn't tick all the boxes for me, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. But I say again, if you guys are on the fence but you don't really care much for his other work, I would recommend not seeing it. But if you're a fan of everything, I think you'll at least find a little bit to take away from it.
I just wish it was like, make up your mind. Do you want to do a story about two struggling guys in Hollywood, or the story of Sharon Tate in a really messed up ending way, or what? Make up your damn mind here, because
it could have benefited from being about half an hour shorter, too. I would say.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and I know like one of his things is he likes to drag out scenes that really aren't significant, but just likes to keep focusing more and more and more, and they don't pan out because I guess that's artistic or some bullshit. But I was talking to Erica about it again today, and she says it wasn't bad. She enjoyed some of it, but I just felt like it couldn't make up its mind what it was going to be. And even like when I listened to them talk about it, and after seeing it, I almost felt like, do they even know how to sell this film? Like, you say it's about two out of work actors, but I feel like, well, they're not really struggling that much in the movie because Leo gets cast in a reputable film and is beloved on it. It's not like they're saying he's a shit actor or something like that. It's just something that it's briefly said. It's shown in the trailers, and it's like very misleading.
I think it was just sort of a portrait of 1960s Hollywood with the Charles Manson, Sharon Tate thing kind of being in the background and blending in because they were neighbors.
But they put so much focus on, and they were led you to believe, at least beforehand, that it wasn't a big part of this film. When really, I mean, they're spending so much time on Sharon Tate sitting in the theater, and everyone thinks I'm funny and I'm great. Well, what the hell does that have to do with the story? Like this, it's just like random scenes of her dancing in her bedroom or at a party, but it doesn't pay off. Like there's no real.
I didn't see any TV spots or anything. All I saw was just like the first trailer and just left it alone. I didn't watch anything else, so I can't really comment on what it was. But Hollywood does that shit all the time. Like it's like, hey, look at this. It's gonna be non-stop action, and then you go to it and it's kind of something completely different. But let's move on from Tarantino. Is there anything else you would like to briefly talk about before we jump into our main topic of discussion? You want to bring up the Super 7 Thundercats?
Ugh.
That was announced today. Beneficial to me because I didn't jump at the chance when they were doing the classics with Mattel, but I understand why you're disappointed because you already have all those figures.
Yeah, and a lot of people did jump at that, and it wasn't a flop by any means, but that's why I kind of felt like there's no way Super 7 is going to go back and start over, and there's no announcement of, hey, look, we're going to get these 4, and we'll be announcing like the next 4, but we won't have a pre-order ready till like winter or something like that. But just to know that, again, it's to get new figures, it's just been delayed once again, and you're expected to support. I mean, I just worry that again that because there's no roadmap or hint that we're just throwing these out to pique the interest again. But we have like 4 new figures. We're planning on doing those. They're coming. We're just doing like. So little was said, and that's what damn it, God! It frustrates me because new figures are delayed again, and if these Warner Bros. Decides to be an asshole again and take their fingers and mess up with whatever Super 7 might be trying to do, then again it's the same damn 4 figures again, and gets canceled again.
Well, I think it'll work in the aspect of. If this is something that they have a long-term plan for, at least we are going to go back from the beginning, push it forward, and then more will be added on. So at least, hopefully, you got that going for you. And at least I can pick the figures up. I'm not incredibly happy about the price point because I think $45 a piece is a little steep. And if I'm buying all 4, that's $180, and we haven't even gotten to the shipping cost.
And they love to gouge on shipping. $15 for one damn figure.
Yeah. So we'll see how that turns out. Those are supposed to release in spring 2020,
which is a long time away. I mean, everything like we pre-ordered the movie figures back in February. They're supposed to ship in November. We pre-ordered a Conan. He's supposed to ship in October. It's just God. It takes forever to get these things, and I know it's just, but.
It would be nice if maybe they were just sort of mum about the whole thing, and then like a month before they come out, do the pre-order, and like, hey, they're shipping next month. That kind of cut in between the wait time with that.
Yeah. It just feels like doing business with them. Everything is like, oh, you purchase now, you get your toys maybe in a year.
Right.
It's always the case, man.
And you forgot the kicker, which makes sense, but it's still sort of a kick in the ass of when you pre-order them, that money's out and gone, which I guess is good. But I kind of like the pre-order something and then you're charged for it when it actually ships, because to me it just seems like, well, if you pre-order it now and then what if you change your mind about it, and then there's just more hoops you got to go through to get your money back.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like too, it kind of makes it feel. I mean, of course, I'm glad to know it's already out of the way. But when you feel like you're waiting so damn long to get something, and maybe some people may lose their interest. You know, like, oh, I gotta wait till next February to get these figures. Come December, you're like, you know what? Hell with it, and they cancel their order.
Right.
I don't know. I hate that it just takes so damn long. And I know it's just because Super 7's not Mattel, but because it's the same figures again, it's just it's like what Mattel's launching their new He-Man line of releasing the same figures again. Like, God, there's just nothing to get excited about, man.
But those have articulation. They're vintage figures with articulation.
And I'm dying to bury my vintage figures because I couldn't bend Beastman's right arm or right wrist at I could not do this with my Beastman figure. So
it's all about articulation, man.
I swear to God, like, they better make that. I mean, I will support it because they'll be made available and none of that pre-order bullshit. But God, I hope they make it worthwhile and not hire some asshole to do some shitty mini comic and rendition or bad card art or where they just get cheap, because I feel like their whole plan for this is cheap. And God, it's so disappointing. And I don't like sounding like, I don't like feeling like this. It was just disappointing. Again, same figures back to back. Mattel and Super 7, same figures. Again.
What would be exciting is if we could come across that Soundwave that Walmart has gotten. I went and ventured around a couple other Walmarts and went to our secret spot with the guy with the case just to see if he had anything new in there. And I think that dude's collection's dwindling down. There wasn't, once again. So I think I'm going to just kind of stop checking that, because every time I've gone, like the last 5 or 6 times, nothing. Yeah, I mean, like, it's at a point where there's Rampage figures from the Rock film that came out last year. Well, I don't know why he's trying to sell those, but that was disappointing. And then did pop into a Walmart around that way, and then they're on the shelves. Our Walmart near us has not got those yet, but just the packs with who all
Laserbeak and Ratchet,
yes,
and Rampage, and
for $20 a piece, $20 a pop for the 2-pack.
Little transfer, yeah. They're small.
Yeah, so I imagine that those won't move too well and will be discounted at some point, because those Optimus Prime sat there for months and months and months. But if I see that Soundwave, I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like it'll hit me when I don't have that much money to play around with, and I'm like, oh God. And then I'll get it, and then I'll be like, okay, now for 3 weeks I can't buy a damn thing. And Nathan's like, hey man, did you see this? Did you see this too?
Well,
I'm like,
hey man, Top Ramen, you just got to change your diet.
My diet's about as low key and cheap as I possibly can make it. I mean, it fits, it works for me, and it's about as cheap as I can make it. But I'm not eating garbage.
Top Ramen, man. Top Ramen saves some extra money. That way you can buy all the figures that you want.
I ain't really getting to a point where I'm running out of places to put figures. I really am, without it looking like a cluttered mess, and that's what I don't want. So it's really gonna have to be. You're just gonna have to get rid of some of those DVDs that you're not watching anymore, and get rid of one of those shelves, and just put another shelf there. Put some figures on. Well, I mean, I'm sure there are some movies I probably could just clean out, stuff that I bought at the time that I thought, hey, I might watch that again, but I'm like, you know what, I haven't, and I could probably utilize 2 shelves and put a few things in there. Yeah. So yeah, that's something I probably might have to do, and willingly, because there are some stuff and I'm like, who am I kidding? Like, it was cool to have it, but I don't watch that anymore. Like,
I would say either donate it to Goodwill, or maybe we can make a pile and just start having giveaways on here and Fans of Power. It's like, oh, you got that right. Here's a DVD copy of DC Cab with Mr. T.
Well, here's Basic Instinct 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you bought that piece of shit.
Yeah, because I thought I might enjoy it again, which I thought was it was okay in theaters, and like oh my god, I'm not watching that again. This shit film.
Well, let's lift your spirits and provide a commentary for an episode of Ninja Turtles that I had the VHS tape of, actually, as a kid, and you actually have on your shelf across from you. You thought you had it, and then you're like, well, I don't see it, but then you do have it.
Yeah, I just didn't look hard enough. See, because I was during a time when I was trying to think where I picked it up. It may have been at a flea market, but because I got a lot of VHS tapes on the shelf, I picked up from King Video, or which would become Movies, when they were getting rid of a lot of their stock of old VHS tapes.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of those over here, and then when Peak Creek was selling a bunch of their VHS tapes, a lot of those are on this rack too.
It was always
and some Goodwill tapes.
It was always funny how when one video store would go out of business, like one of the other video stores would just sort of like buy most of their stock.
Yeah,
and then you're just that's kind of nostalgic. And if you guys are kind of wondering too why Tyler like looks at the camera, but he can't. I'm John Cena to him. He can't see me. Haha.
Yeah.
But he can't. The way that this is working with OBS and the Skype call, like I can't share my webcam with both those programs. So this one takes priority, and Tyler can't see shit.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much just kind of looking at myself as if I was talking to Nathan. So since there is someone on there, it's just myself. I'm kind of just talking at myself here. At least to give me the illusion that I am talking to somebody.
Right. But it's all for the greater good. Without that, then we wouldn't have this nice, cool little logo setup shit that we got going on. Which, Tyler, I didn't show you this ahead of time before, but you know how in Fans of Power, there's the lightning and the power sword in the center?
Yes.
I put Donatello's bow staff here in the center
nice.
to split the screens. So we got that going on. But the episode we're going to watch is Case of the Killer Pizzas, which... if you guys are fans of Xenomorphs from the Alien franchise, you'll see a lot of similarities here.
And if you're just an old school Turtles fan, this seems to be a classic episode amongst all fans because, I've often wondered, the pizza monsters were never. Wow, hell, we'll just get into it, discuss it as the credits roll. So,
all right, well, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead. Shit, you go ahead and give us a countdown, and we'll hit play at the same time and get this thing going.
All right, 3, 2, 1, action. But because it was, I don't know why. This episode just resonated with me and my brother a lot, and I think it did with a lot of people. But I think the pizza monster showing up in Turtles in Time was like another way of solidifying, like, oh, whoa, the pizza monsters are in this game. So it kind of upped the appreciation when, Konami decided to use a throwaway monster that was in one episode, but they seem to be universally appreciated and beloved in the series. And granted, they're only used one time,
right?
But you show those to any Turtles fan, you get excited. And it was hinted that NECA will be releasing those in figure form in the near future. If you saw their display at SDCC,
is that just going to be one figure? Will they have multiple in a pack that you can buy, or do you know
all
what
they
the plan
showed
is?
was like 2 in like the pint size form.
Okay.
Douglas Booth, he worked on the He-Man. He actually wrote some of my favorite episodes, like A Return of Orko's Uncle. But they just showed the little one, so I'm assuming you'll have the pint size and then the much larger version. I assume something like that. I'll probably be releasing a 2-pack. I can't imagine them just doing one pizza monster.
I could, but I'll definitely do what I can to own more than one.
Yeah, I would hope. Since NECA's doing a lot of these 2-packs with Target, and then this line is a Target exclusive, they got to be 2-packs.
Yeah, I'm dreading trying to track down a Casey Jones when he comes out because it was such a...
Yeah, that's the one I think is going to be a burr in my ass. That one, the Metalhead.
Yeah. You still need to get a shredder.
Got to get a shredder because I went the easy route, even though it wasn't the most encompassing, getting a Leo separate on eBay because I was so desperate to continue it. And then Shredder got picked up before I could buy him because whoever's to blame for Target not being stocked up with these things, I don't know. But, if I ever find you, I'm going to rip you a new ass, whoever's responsible for that, because it's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
But our buddy Joe hooked me up with the Raft 2-pack, so bless him for that one. So I just one figure away from completing this set. But getting to the episode here, it was always exciting. Even if Baxter wasn't a fly film, just to see Baxter Stockman, he was always such a welcome addition to each episode in human form, from the Mousers to the rat trap, or where he comes up with that kind of big bulldozer contraption with like teeth to trap Splinter. I just like seeing him, period, in any episode.
Which, oddly enough, the other episode that is attached to this episode on that particular VHS we were talking about is Enter the Fly. So
yeah, there were certain episodes that I always remember being super pumped, and if Enter the Fly came on because it meant Baxter was going to be in fly form, I lost my shit. It was so exciting to see that on weekday mornings, which is when I watched it as a kid.
Right.
I assume you did too.
Oh yeah, I did
yeah.
And also especially like on the weekends and like that prime slot where you would see new episodes premiere.
See, I always watched it during the week, and if I watched any on Saturday, it was the ones that were on CBS, which I found them to be lacking in quality at times when it was on CBS. I don't know why. I just did not enjoy them as much. The sequences were different, even though if you look at them now, like it's a pretty badass opening sequence for the CBS series. But I kind of found my interest in watching the show dwindling because I just wasn't enjoying it. Even though I was going to the movies, I was buying the toys, still got excited for Turtles, but just didn't find the cartoon to be as enjoyable at that time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think once Turtles 2 came out, I found myself watching that and the first Turtles movie more over watching the animated series.
I mean, I had the Heroes in a Half Show VHS because I'd had it since Christmas '88, and that was the only tape I actually owned. If I would rent some of them, and of course it was on TV pretty frequently, so I would get my fix pretty easily. But I would rewatch that one VHS tape a lot, and I only had one of the Burger King Kids Club VHS tapes too.
I had all of them.
Yeah, I wish I did. It was such a cool novelty.
Every time that we went, it was basically going to Burger King every weekend because my parents would always cook dinner during the week, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Well, Friday and Saturday were the eat-out days. Sunday kind of restarted everything again. And I'm like, we got to go to Burger King. Got to get those tapes. And of course, like every time we go, my parents would be like, hey, are there any more? Are there different ones you can give us? You got them behind the counter or anything? It's kind of weird to think that fast food restaurants were just selling VHS tapes at one point.
And like those episodes, those were sold exclusively through Burger King. That was it. They were not I know Great Boldini was the only one we had, and the VHS tape didn't last. I think after one viewing, it just was a shit tape, and it just messed up and never could get it to work again.
I remember watching that episode a lot, but like not liking it, but just watching
Me
it.
Me neither.
Because I'm like, it's Turtles. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, but like if Shredder wasn't the villain and he was, I'm like, this episode sucks. Some magic meatballs here. It was always fun just to see everything pizza related, and of course, as a kid, you think that's awesome. It was such a. I know we mentioned this before, but just the Turtles' popularity, and for our generation, as you're getting a little bit older, pizza becomes such a prominent part of your life because I've often wondered, and I've said this before too, like did a lot of pizza places like Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars, did they benefit from Turtles being so damn popular with kids, like pizza parties and just personal pan pizzas?
Yeah, I would say so. Especially like the dine-in Pizza Huts, which apparently they're kind of starting to really phase those out. I don't know if the one that we have close by is going to remain open or not, but I would think it may not have been like a huge percentage of their overall sales, but it had to have at least done a little bit.
It definitely. I'm like, aside from the fact that I absolutely love pizza and it's still my favorite food next to hamburgers to this day, but turtles influenced that a lot because they love pizza so much. So it just enhanced my passion for pizza. Because when you're eating, you think of being like the turtles, and it was just it was a magical time to eat pizza and want to be a turtle.
It's kind of neat that they're sitting here like having a fight with Shredder in a pizza place.
Which, yeah, when you're seeing this is from I mean, there weren't too many episodes where Shredder comes off as quite threatening, and when they're defeating him with pizzas,
Yeah.
I mean, it pretty much kills any credibility.
Oh, I
I
totally agree. I think that to me that's the one issue I really have watching this cartoon as an adult is just very rarely does Shredder look like he's the badass that he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, and I when I watch it with love in my heart. I love and I appreciate it. But when you have his portrayal, hell, even in Turtles too, it's such an imposing and legitimate threat, and they just kind of killed off his potency as a villain very quickly in the series. And it's just a shame that so many parents were so willing to write ugly and disapproving letters to, companies that were releasing toys, or as we're seeing our first touch of the alien embryo. I'll call it that. It's not an alien, but it's what it reminds me of. But just, I was thinking today too, for whatever reason, God, yeah. See, and as a kid too, I was somewhat familiar with Alien, but didn't make the connection. I just thought they were crazy, cool looking creatures.
Right.
And that was it. I wasn't probably till like the mid to late 90s, because I never stopped watching any of these cartoons as a teenager, which made me feel like, Nathan's going to make fun of me when he finds out I'm still into this stuff.
No.
But it was like, what? I was like, wait a second, these look just like aliens, man. And they do so much from, like, instead of acid for blood, they burn through stuff because they're so hot. It's just awesome, all the little touches, and it's little creatures still hanging around with them, like wanting food. And what was your take on Irma? Like, she's, for me, like, I like the character, but I'm like, God, it's just, as an adult, you watch, like, this woman never stops bitching about stuff.
As a kid,
it's like, no wonder she can't find a damn date.
As a kid, I didn't enjoy her too much. I found her kind of annoying. Like, sometimes she was all right and bearable, but for the most part, I could do without her. It was like with
I do feel like
it was like with Vern. I definitely felt the same way with Vern.
I mean, anybody that was down on the Turtles in any shape or form, like later on in this episode, we'll see two punk, like, goofy looking kids who are being snobby to the Turtles. Like, man, what pricks? Because I hated anybody that was not supporting the Turtles. I was just, and when I say that, I say it like I'd sit quietly and think, man, what a couple of assholes. But I'm not acting like someone who just can't control their emotions. It's just thoughts that were in my head when watching this or whatever episodes or movies that we do commentaries for. I had a lot of passion. I just kind of kept it bottled up. But I kind of like how they did something similar to this in the 2012 series with the Squirrelinoids.
Yeah.
Which was a very good episode and some cool looking figures too. It's a shame too that Playmates, that they did the Mousers and a couple of other small things, but I'll never know why they decided to never do the Pizza Monsters. It seems like it kind of would have been a logical a toy that Playmates would have thrown out.
Unless there would have been some sort of thing with the similarities to the Xenomorphs. Someone could hit them with a lawsuit.
And I guess that makes
maybe.
sense since NECA is doing them. They also do the alien figures. So I guess there's not a real conflict of interest when they're making, the actual alien figures and making the figure that looks similar to it. So I guess that makes sense.
Asshole kids.
Yeah.
When I went on vacation, we went to visit Emily's dad and stepmom, and they bought like this nice ass house in like this gated community, and we're in the pool, and there's all these little kids just, being kids in a pool, but the entire time I'm like, how many of these kids are just going to grow up to be entitled little shits based off of, like, the wealth that their parents have and, like, how they get to just... This is their summer. They get to have their own pool, essentially, and lazy river and do all this stuff, and... I don't know why, it's just these bratty kids right here made me think of that.
Yeah, and they are brat kids.
And who's to say, like, money doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a bratty kid? Shit, I've seen kids of like, normal wealth, medium class, that are just as much an asshole as any other kid. I don't really know where I was going with that, anyway.
It's back to Irma.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, you got to think, too, like, who's filming them while they're trying to film that?
Yeah, it's just one of those...
Yeah, you would think someone at some point would have been like, hey, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense.
But, I mean, it's just one of those things I feel like it works for the show because you can't look for logic in the show. For the most part, like with any animated show or TV series, there's got to be some rules, even though the rules shouldn't be realistic by our standards. They should be realistic by the kind of stories you're trying to tell.
Right.
And I mean, we're talking about a talking brain from Dimension X, little pizza monsters, makes a lot of sense. But it's, I mean, hell, if that's the case, you got to look for logic in Looney Tunes also.
Right.
It's just
yeah.
I feel like here we go.
It's kind of like that was sort of, to me, it's like Gremlins. Don't get them wet.
Yeah. It kind of makes you feel like Douglas Booth was like a fan of Gremlins and the Alien series, and managed to kind of combine them into a very creative. I mean, God, they look great. I mean, they look. I mean, ferocious. And seeing that as a kid, you're like, oh my God, like this is going to be good, man. It's like you're not going to be disappointed. And you think too, like, to tell anybody who's maybe new to this series, like, all right, episodes you need to check out: Case of the Killer Pizzas. Wait, what? It's like, dude, you don't understand. Just watch it. Just watch it, dude. It's like,
you microwave the pizza with the meatball in it. It turns into a little creature, and he hops in the water, and he gets bigger and turns into like a xenomorph.
I like the shot here too.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
That's cool. But watching this in syndication too, just like with any show, it left you. It made you excited because you never knew what episode was coming on every day, and like, it's this episode. Oh, it's this episode. I miss that excitement. When you would have He-Man, Thundercats, Silverhawks, Bionic 6, Turtles, G.I. Joe come on, and you just were anxiously waiting for that title card to show up and to let you know what episode you'd be watching today, and just never knowing it was a fun gamble each day. Are you going to be pissed off? Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be For the most part, though, I was pretty content watching most episodes of Turtles. I can't say there were some that were like, oh, man, not this one again.
Yeah, same here. And even if I did sort of feel that way, like I said, I'm like, well, it's still Turtles. It's still got to make the most of the time that I have watching it.
Yeah, and I never would I mean, whether it was G.I. Joe or Turtles, I would watch every episode. Did not matter. Even if I was disappointed, like, oh, it's this episode, I would still wholeheartedly watch it and try to enjoy as best I could. Because you never know when you might see a commercial for Turtle action figures or new G.I. Joes at the time. Because the time we're talking about, it would be the 1989, 90, 91, like the real early 90s when the show was on its syndication. The commercials were on for the action figures and various other things. So commercial breaks were fun too, because like seeing those commercials for action figures was exciting, or new movie trailers and stuff. So, and
it always gave me time to eat more of my cereal, because I never did that while the show was going on, because I didn't want to like
be distracted,
or like crunching too hard, can't hear what the dialogue or anything.
I was always more partial. Like, I didn't mind eating while watching it, but for the most part, I think me and my brother were pretty much just sitting right there in front of the TV, not making a sound. I wish I could do Vern's voice.
Irma. I can't do it either.
But it's such an obnoxious voice, but it'd be fun to do it if you could. Just
right.
because it is such a memorable voice. To not have a Baxter Stockman figure in human form. Like, I kind of feel like that should be something that we never got.
I think
that.
It would have been cool to have him in that little hover vehicle that he's in when you fight him as a boss in the NES arcade game.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I would have loved to have had that, but I didn't have Baxter as a kid either in fly form, which that was
really
a lot of the staple figures eluded me. Like him and Casey Jones, I did not have as a kid, and God, I wanted them bad. I just never saw them.
Yeah, I don't know how that ultimately ended up working out for me, but I didn't have any issue finding any of those guys anywhere.
Well, because
maybe that's what it was. I was going and buying like the last one, and then you would go into Hill's department store later that day, and it wasn't there anymore. I mean,
for the most part, I didn't leave empty-handed. If I was on the mission, like I remember, like specifically looking for Slash and Triceraton, and I was able to buy them both at Hill's at different times, of course. But, Ray Fillet, Usagi, Leatherhead, because I think at that time that's when Walmart in Christiansburg was up and running. So me and my brother bought some of them there and at Hill's. I don't think we really bought any at Kmart. For the most Kmart, yeah. I did a lot of GI Joe purchasing at that in Hills. Was a lot of my GI Joe purchases were there.
Yeah, Hills was probably the main store. If not that, then it was Walmart. But Kmart was sort of, we didn't really go to Kmart too often.
Well, it was right down the road from me,
right.
So we went there fairly often, and GI Joes were there quite often. And of course, that was another drug for me. So, and they were a cheap purchase too, so my mom at times didn't mind getting me and my brother a GI Joe each because they were $3 at the time. And I think Turtles were $5.
How do you feel about this part right here? They're going to actually sort of team up briefly.
Which I always thought was cool. Like I know it was only temporary, but it was still cool. Like the standoff between both factions working together against the Pizza Monsters. And the scale of the Pizza Monsters changes so much throughout the show. They look like dinosaurs right here, and other times it's and seeing Shredder doing some flips and stuff, and then Leo and yes, animation error here, which used to bug me as a kid. Like what? That's not Leo talking.
Right. We got that like fairly often.
Yeah, it did happen a lot in this show. Yeah. Which, and watching a lot of shows like He-Man, Thundercats, and G.I. Joe, you didn't see a lot of errors like that. At least I don't recall, at least whenever I've watched them. Not to say there weren't animation errors, but Turtles was guilty a lot of one Turtle's talking and it's another Turtle's voice.
Yep.
I mean, the very first episode when Don's trying to keep April from leaving, he's got Raph's voice.
Yep.
In the very first episode. I remember that shot of Raph talking with his hands like that was in the commercials. Reach out and crush someone. For like the Turtles playset. God, the Pizza Monsters, that would have been so cool in the Playmates line. It really would have. I'd have been all about that.
Yeah, it would have been cool to have them in, like with the sewer playset too.
Oh man, that'd have been so cool. I mean, and I'm sure they would have released them like as a single because like the Mousers were single, the Foot Soldiers were single. Nothing was done in like multi-pay. And I'll never understand that. A lot of toy lines that we were all into, they never had army builders.
Yep.
Not once.
Yeah.
Like G.I. Joe, like that should have been like a given.
Yeah.
But no Foot Soldier army builders, no Horde Trooper army builders.
Just imagine like with G.I. Joe, it's like maybe like a 3-pack for the $10 or something.
Yeah. And they would do 3-packs, but only with like the Cobra Law team and Slaughter's Renegades. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Like no army builders of Vipers or Saw Vipers or Bats. None of that stuff. But now they do it now, and then they want you to fork over, $50
and your firstborn child,
and your car payment for the month.
Yeah, it's like a blood contract too. You got to like cut your finger open and sign it in your blood.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then you get a classic Mikey.
Yeah. Oh, Mikey.
There we go. That was a quick one.
Yeah, it flew by. Well, that's what happens when you're watching quality.
Yeah.
But that is Case of the Killer Pizzas, and I assume if you listen to this commentary, you love the episode too. So I can't imagine, and or if you haven't watched it, or if you are not much of a Turtles fan, like I'd like to think that you would take the time to seek out this episode if you just like listen to us do commentaries for things you may have never seen before, and it encourages you to go look it up on Daily Motion, or maybe it's on YouTube, or purchase a DVD or something like that.
Which this is pre-recorded. So once I upload it to YouTube, if I can find the link, I'll have that down below. So hopefully they can watch along.
Yeah, it is on Daily Motion. Because on my way home today, I was listening to it in the car.
All right.
Just for the hell of it. So a decent version is available.
All right. Well, I'll put that link down below on the YouTube link. And I guess we'll pre-record and do another episode tomorrow. Tyler, what we got lined up?
We are going to finally be tackling some more G.I. Joe, and one I've been discussing, God, for months of tackling this is the first part to the Serpentor storyline, which Nathan has never seen.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it might draw his interest where he was like, you know what, let's finish this.
Or I probably did at some point and just don't. My memory's so bad.
I had no recollection of seeing any of it. And it's a 5-parter. And, there were so many, like Sergeant Slaughter is a prominent character throughout all 5 parts. And because it introduces the 1986 wave of characters along with Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, the first episode alone, like that's why I can't wait for Nathan to see it, how many characters are introduced in that first episode. And then they're all used prominently throughout the 5-parter. And then the series takes off. And I saw season 2 episodes sparingly as a kid. Like most of the ones that were played, if it wasn't the Deke series, it was the first season of G.I. Joe by Marvel Animation and Sunbow. I just didn't see too many episodes with Serpentor. And then it was exciting to see that as a kid because I liked him a lot. I was both pro Cobra Commander, pro Serpentor. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh, Cobra Commander all the way, dude. Like I'm Cobra all the way, but if I'm choosing sides, I'm choosing Cobra Commander's side all the time, dude. But I still like Serpentor. I think he's a great villain, and it's a great the 5-parter too. What's really good because the bulk of it is Cobra winning. Like they have to win to create Serpentor, so it's cool for almost 5 full episodes. Cobra is victorious in some form or another in each episode. Like it's very, very good. A lot of great characters in it, like the new characters like Beachhead. You've got the new Dreadnought members and Zorana, Xandar, Thrasher, and Monkey Wrench. You've got Wetsuit and Leatherneck. The Cobra Bats, like the Battle Android Troopers, are introduced. Dr. Mindbender's introduced. And Cobra Commander's just great in every single episode. Like he steals every episode, but he's so much fun. God, I can't wait for Nathan to watch it. It's gonna be a blast, dude.
Well, we'll get that under our belt tomorrow night and get that out to you guys as soon as possible. Tyler, you have any other things in closing? Any recommendations? Anything you want to toss out there before we wrap it up?
I just want to encourage listeners who listen to this regularly. Send us recommendations. Let us know if there's something you want us to cover.
We did get that request for that Batman Beyond episode, so we'll get that lined up.
Yeah, we'll be honoring that here soon. If Nathan's up to doing plenty of G.I. Joe, we'll do that, and then whatever we do after that, we'll take on Out of the Past from Batman Beyond. I like to go back to X-Men because I feel like it's been quite a while since we've tackled an X-Men episode. We've only done one Transformers episode.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we go back and do one of those.
Lots to cover. And when you think about it, if we can condense these down, maybe there could be times when we would normally just go on for a while because we didn't have the live chat and kind of talking to them. We could probably fit in like 2 in 1 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. So, no recommendations, just for people to just
recommendations. I'll say I'll recommend City of Steel from Transformers Season 2. That's one that when we get around to doing another Transformers episode, that's the one I want to do next for Transformers because it's got a lot of my personal favorites in there. It's a great Devastator episode, or he's featured quite prominently in that episode, along with Soundwave, Starscream, Wheeljack, Hound, Prowl. I mean, they're in a lot of episodes, but I just like that one a lot. We get to do a 2012 Turtles commentary also, but yeah, City of Steel from Transformers Season 2, and G.I. Joe. I thought a recommendation. Oh God, it's the last episode from Season 2. It's a really, really good episode. God, that's another one I would love Nathan to see, because even though Cross Country is like kind of the star of that episode, he's like not a great character, but he's portrayed quite well. It's like it's like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom in that episode.
Okay.
Like it's an underground kind of cult setting going on with Cobra Commander, slaves in the mines, and G.I. Joe's got to break into the mines, and it's a blast episode. Storm Shadow's in it, Firefly's in it.
I mean, you've been on this big kick at G.I. Joe lately. I think this has been the longest stretch I've seen in a while, where it seems like you're kind of just honed in onto one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do that a lot, where I get on a kick of something and watch it for a while, and then move on to a kick of this and a kick of that. But G.I. Joe has been, it's been prominent. I mean, for many weeks before we went to Raleigh. So the very odd meeting of Arthur Burghart, aka Destro, didn't enhance it or decrease it. I just continued on with it.
The girls.
The girls, motherfuckers. If you can imagine Destro saying motherfucker and a bunch of other choice cuss words and moaning and griping about how much he hates his coffee and stuff, I got to hear that. People,
you want me to get? Well, maybe we can talk a little more about that story when we talk about G.I. Joe tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll open up a little bit more about that tomorrow for our first part of Arise to Pentora Rise.
It's a good little story, and I had to figure out where my mouse cursor went, and I panicked for a second because it wasn't. I was moving my mouse and I didn't know where the cursor was. That was really weird. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified when we go live. Check out all the links down below, including the episode that you can watch along with us while we did this commentary. Download us on Podbean as Tyler loudly takes a drink of his water.
Sorry. I probably should get a straw for that, but...
Yeah, pull an Amato. Yeah, get a straw. I don't know. Check us out on Podbean. You can download us on iTunes, but I also want to recommend that those guys that download us hop on over to YouTube at youtube.com/BeyondRetroPodcast so you can check out the video version, see the little neat shit that I've done.
Yeah, Nathan's done some very impressive stuff with the show, so it makes it a lot more interesting visually to watch it and see all the cool things he's popped up. And we may have some guest appearances of random oddball celebrities showing up throughout the podcast.
Jimmy Connors might show up.
We might have Ahmed Johnson might show up. Russell Westbrook might show up. Just Bruce the Barber Beefcake might show up.
You never know who's going to pop in
on
this show. Hit up Joe Amato for a custom, buy his t-shirts, and check out Fans of Power, the He-Man and the Master Universe podcast, hosted by Tyler Baker, Joe Amato, and myself. That is every Sunday at 9 p.m. Man, I don't know what else to say.
I think we've about covered everything. Otherwise, if we just keep rambling, then we'll think, what didn't we cover? And we've already covered everything. So at this point, we can either sound off or just have another random conversation.
I'm still trying to get the rust off. It's been a few weeks, a little rusty.
I think we've just jumped right back into it and haven't lost a step, honestly.
Well, maybe for you did a show last night. I haven't really done anything in a while.
Yeah, but I don't think taking time off. It just keeps me energized and recharged and ready to dig in.
Yeah, we're not burning burning ourselves out.
Yeah, which I keep feeling like I need to take a weekend off from Fans of Power, but then we get around to it and I'll go ahead and do it tonight or something like that. Right. But I'm sure at some point I'll have to take a week off.
Yeah, probably, and then maybe that's when Joe and I can do jelly bean challenge with those nasty ass jelly beans or something, or I don't know. We'll figure something. He'll eat more weird shit. We'll see what happens. But because. I want to say in closing, make sure you guys give the video a like and also comment down below and let us know your thoughts, not only on this episode of Ninja Turtles, maybe Ninja Turtles in general, or as Tyler said before, put a recommendation down there. Be like, hey, assholes, cover this one next when you get around to it after we get past the other things that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, and say it like that. Say, "Hey, assholes,
Yeah.
cover, meet Casey Jones or Usagi Yojimbo or, Enter the Fly or, hopefully not the Great Boldini."
Oh yeah, I don't think I could.
I don't look. I just don't see us like for shits and giggles
Maybe
deliberately watching a shit episode.
maybe
Like
maybe
it's
maybe one day.
yeah, but it would have to be something that I don't know. Like you would have to be making me laugh the whole time. Because just to dedicate our one time a week to watch a crummy episode of, well, hell, like, I think of the shows I mentioned. I'm like, well, it's not like to watch an episode of X-Men I'm not too fond of. It wouldn't be grounds to like make fun of it or anything because it's just not as enjoyable. Like, I don't know what we would do if we were just to do an episode where we just shit on it because it tends to be more like a movie, something like that,
Right. Well, one day we'll watch something bad. I'll pick it out. It'll be fine. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed, and until then, we will see you in the future to talk about the past. Take care, everybody.
Later, dude.